Alright, Royal Rumble is here. It has come, it is gone, and you see my title, and I'm not changing it for no fucking body. There's a reason why I did that, and I will explain it at the end of this review if I don't forget. But let me give it to you like this. Was this a good Royal Rumble? Yeah. Was this a great Royal Rumble? It's kind of questionable. Some people will say it was great. Some people will say it was okay. But there's no way this was the greatest of all time. I'm sorry. Just because you had over 70,000 people in one arena? No, it's not the greatest I've ever seen of Royal Rumbles. But it was a good Royal Rumble. Now, knowing two things. Stephanie showed up, talked, was nice. But seeing that Triple H is now going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, now that was a little bit more important for me personally. I don't know if I'm going to make a Gump report on it. Well, I'll ask you. Do you want me to make a Gump report on how I feel about Triple H going into the Hall of Fame by himself? He went in, and I think in D-Generation X. I think he did go in D-Generation X. But by himself, this will be very interesting to see how that's going to play out. Wait a minute, did he ever go into the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame with D-Generation X, or the DX Army. But I don't remember. You guys can tell me below if he's already been inducted. But he will be going in by himself. And I felt that was, the way it was done was pretty tasteful over at Titan Tower. But let's get to the opening of this show. This was the Women's Royal Rumble. We only got 4 matches on the show. So, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to save the men and women for the last. Let's go for the other matches. 2 out of 3 fall for the tag championships. And that is DIY. Well, versus the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm going to tell you this. I've always liked the Motor City Machine Guns. DIY, I feel like, is more like they should be separated at this point, but they're still keeping them together because I guess they don't want to split them up yet due to the fact they really don't have many tag teams to be working with. But let's make it very clear. It was a good match. The first pin was done by DIY onto the Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City Machine Guns got it back. Now, was it a clean win? I will give it to like this. Seeing the Street Profits there, due to the fact of how DIY attacked them and took them out, it's understandable they were going to show up. But helping them win, I didn't get it until I had to think about it. Next to them saying, look, and it was Cole, I believe he said it, that DIY took them out. They want to take those titles from them. It does make sense to do that. But then, in a sense, what are we getting from Motor City Machine Guns? We got faces. What are you getting from DIY? You got heels. But when you look at the Street Profits, it's a bit of a question. I mean, you know how they were before they left. But, honestly, I feel like they should have beat them both up. They should have just whooped both their asses flat out instead of just interfering and messing in the match. I feel like they should have took them both out, and that would have made more better sense. They take out Motor City Machine Guns first, and then they just attack DIY afterward. Now, Ciampa did get a cut across his nose pretty badly. I do believe it was when, Shelly, when Ciampa was upside down in Trio Row, and Shelly literally kicked him straight in the face. He didn't hit him here. He hit him there. I think he might have busted his nose open. So I think that's where he got it from. But it was a good 2 out of 3 fall match until the interference and then the beatdown. But I still feel like the Street Profits should have attacked them both. Heavily attacked the Motor City Machine Guns. And then when DIY is really not thinking, they just charge at them and just whoop their asses there too. That's what I feel should have been done. Now, the ladder match. I was kind of hoping for one thing. Now, maybe this might happen later. This could be a possibility because there's a lot of people who like the Winged Eagle. I'm going to tell you this. If Cody, instead of using the WWE Championship, uses the Winged Eagle Championship, that has been basically the original one. I know they really can't because it's the WWF. I don't think it's the WWE one. It's the WWF one. I truly believe I would like to see him hold it for a little while until they produce a new title that's mostly a replica of the original Winged Eagle. You see I'm botching here because I know they're not going to do it. But if they did, knowing the Winged Eagle would be used and the WWE plates would be on it, a little combination of them both. You can just take away the WWF, put WWE on it, and make it still the Winged Eagle. I wouldn't mind it. At least it would be a change up compared to what we've been seeing. These titles are so generic, and I would love to see the Winged Eagle updated with the WWE only. You could just leave the Winged Eagle as it is. But do I believe they're going to do that? No, but you never know. I really hope they don't just put the Winged Eagle title away. I wish Cody would talk to Triple H and say, hey, and they publicize it, say, hey, I want to keep this title. Produce me a new title with the WWE symbols on it, but I want the Winged Eagle. I want it. That's what I'm hoping for. This was a brutal match. At one point, I truly thought that Cody might have really messed up his back. If you don't remember, if you saw Road to the Top, Cody already said he has herniated disc in his back, I believe. And I don't think those have recovered very easily. And knowing that he did this match with still possibly herniated disc, unless he had surgery to get them corrected, I did not like seeing him get his back splatted onto that small ladder. That really worried me. Because you can really mess up your back that way. And then seeing Kevin on the edge. I don't know if I got a shot of it. I've been putting the images in. I do not know if I got a shot of it. Where he lands square on the triangle part of that ladder. Oof. If he didn't have back problems, he's going to have one. That is brutal type of wrestling. When you have to use the environment like that in such a way which the back does not bend that way. But seeing the last spot and seeing that he basically was Alabama slammed into that. I never liked it when they do that move when you put the ladder across and legitimately it has to collapse in because something can always go wrong. Something can always go wrong with those moves. The way that he landed after he got that Alabama slam into it and neck was like this. I mean, his neck went from here to here. That scares me. And he was already bleeding as it was. And he was laying there and they had to hold his neck. Now, if he was fine, great. I'm glad. But that still worries me. Guys, I care about wrestling. I care about matches. I care about at least looking good. And looking as real as possible without really badly injuring somebody. But when you go for a ladder match, there's no way that you can fake it. You have to get hit by the ladder. You got to get splattered by the ladder. You got to splat yourself onto the ladder. And those moves can easily shorten a career. Flat out. It doesn't mean I'm squeamish. It doesn't mean I'm being a little baby about it. No. But I do think sometimes you don't always need to go that far. Now, in this storyline, they had to. Because of how they structured it. How Cody was not going to get anywhere unless he totally annihilated KO doing what he did. Having to get annihilated the way he did by Cody. It's understandable, but do I feel comfortable all the time when they do these moves? No, but I understand this one had to be done. But it did make me quite nervous seeing how both Cody and KO got driven the way they did. Now, let's make this very clear. The Women's Royal Rumble. We're doing it now. Here are the people that I thought would be the best that could win the Royal Rumble. Of course, Bayley. Nia Jax. I'm just like Jordynne Grace, who they've been pushing a lot. You could have done Naomi. because they've been supposing pushing her, but then they're not. So you would think maybe. Of course, Bianca Belair, of course, but we've seen her multiple times before. Last Legend might have been an interesting pick, but it would have been better with Jordynne Grace. Now, those are the women that you could have easily pushed. Now, I'm sure you're going to say, I'm not forgetting Nia Jax, just in case I didn't say her. But knowing when Charlotte came out, something told me she's winning. I'm hoping she's not winning. That's what I was thinking. She's winning. I'm hoping she's not winning. And when you go through the entire thing, seeing with a knee brace, and seeing that she was very over. Let's make this clear. I'm not taking anything away from her being gone. She's been gone for over a year. And that really can give you a great boost to the fans, male and female alike. But let's make this very clear. When it comes to Charlotte Flair, she's not the best of all time. She just isn't. As I've told people multiple times on this channel, Charlotte can get herself over, but she can never get anyone else over. If you remember during that match, who did she attack almost immediately? She went straight for Bayley, a woman that is always shown to be over no matter if she's a face or heel, and truly is loved or heavily hated by the fans. Does make a difference. Either way she played it, she always played it, and she was always popular whether she's hated or not. But Charlotte went straight to the one she knew she can work with the best. And when you see this match, when you see how Charlotte worked with everybody, chopping the shit out of everybody, of course, she's got to because she's a Flair, and everyone goes, woo! And I'm sure someone's going to say, oh, you're just not happy because your favorite was there. It's not about my favorite, guys. You could have picked any one of the women that I mentioned. Hell, you could have picked Lyra Valkyria. You could have picked Jada Parker. You could have picked anyone but Charlotte Flair. Because when you look at this situation, hell, if you really wanted to do something good, the person that seemed to be the best developed, the best built in NXT, because they had 5 women from NXT there, you could have picked Roxanne Perez to give her that first time ever. Well, pretty much. I know people would say, dude, she's too young. She's not ready for it. It's not about being ready for it. It's about seeing how she's responded by the fans and how the fans respond to her as she's on the roster. Because I'm sure she's going to be on the roster. If it's not now, she will be then. And it would have helped to get a good gauge of her because she does have something people are liking. And you could have pushed her. Hell, I would have rather see that than Charlotte Flair. Because when you look at the final analysis between her going to the end of the match, and that's Roxanne Perez, and Charlotte, knowing full well it was going to be Charlotte, truly took the joy out of it. Charlotte comes back, they immediately push her into the main title scene, either due to the fact of her new contract, or they believe that every woman they have there is not built well enough to do anything, and they just had to throw Charlotte because they didn't have a choice. And as I've said multiple times, when you do something like that, that shows how weak your division is. You got a huge amount of women in the back, but you barely show them. You got Naomi, who is very popular. But what has happened to her ever since she came back? They stuck her again with the damn titles that meant nothing. And honestly, do they mean anything now? No, they don't mean anything. Her title with Bianca Belair means absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean anything. No matter how much people want to say they're giving her a great amount of time, that does not mean she's relevant. That doesn't mean Bianca's relevant. It doesn't. It just means they just stuck her with a title because they didn't know what else to do with her. Because remember, Jay Cargill was out. And they didn't want to leave Bianca without a partner. That's why Naomi came in. Unless Naomi turns heel or unless Bianca turns heel, it was a big waste of time to do anything with that title. They should have retired it by now. But that is the way it looks. Guys, it sucks to know that Charlotte is now going to WreslteMania. And yes, if you want to go crazy and say, what about Nikki Bella? You didn't mention about her. You didn't mention about Trish Stratus. You could have said something about them. They're not meant to be there. They're just cameos. Unless Nikki really is coming back. You never know. I did see an article of a rumor that says that she wants to come back and wrestle again. And she's only been gone 3 years. So she could come back. But seeing that Charlotte got this was wrong. Now, what was spotlighted there? Nikki Bella coming back. Trish Stratus coming back. Seeing the most brightest ones there was Jordynne Grace, when she basically picked up Piper Niven and did that Death Valley Driver. Woo! Everyone loved that. Death Valley Driver. Everyone loved it. Seeing how Lash Legend worked the match, which I'm not going to tell you Lash is good. She's okay. But I can honestly tell you that when you saw Lash, you see potential there. She has something, but she needs more time to develop it. She ain't ready to go on the main roster. Seeing that when... I'm just going to say this when it came to Zoe. She didn't do that bad of a job, but she was a bit sloppy. And then seeing her trip off the ring ropes, but she did manage to recover pretty well, shows that she can adjust on the fly, which wasn't a bad thing. I did enjoy that. But it's like, I do not agree. I just don't. Hell, I would have liked to see Jada Parker get more out of that, but she didn't. She didn't stay that very long, and I wish to have seen more of Jada Parker. But this is what we got. Now, let's go to the men's Royal Rumble. We didn't really get that big of a surprise. Now, at, what was it? I believe it was number 8. Akira Tozawa was supposed to go into the ring, but he got laid out by somebody. So we got Speed going in. He was supposed to be the celebrity. But honestly, when you see things like this, it's mainly because they want more publicity and they want more money. And it felt like a waste of a time. I did enjoy, to a certain extent, Penta and Ray in the beginning of the show. But when you saw Ray look like he almost got concussed at one point, honestly, he looked like he almost got concussed. I got worried. But he seemed to be alright, and they just kept going on with the match. Jacob Fatu looked great. He was that dominant. How many did he get in? I think he got about 4 people. 4 or 5 people. No, 3 or 4 people he got rid of. And it was good to see Jacob really over. Miz didn't matter. I'm sorry. I don't hate Miz, but Miz did not matter in this match. Joe Henry came in at 15. He looked great. And then seeing that it was Sheamus going like this, watching him, seeing what he's going to be doing, clapping with him, and it's like, he didn't even touch him. He didn't want to touch his countryman. Well, he's not from Ireland, he's from Scotland, but he didn't want to touch him. And I kind of wish he did. I kind of wish he had gone straight in his face and said, "What do you want, fella? Hey, what do you want, fella? You think you're something here because you're a TNA damn champion? You ain't nobody. You ain't nobody." And I would have liked to see that, particularly, at least for a few minutes, a rivalry that you could have had of Scotland and Ireland. Because if you guys haven't seen, what was it? When We Feast? Or what's it called? We Will Feast, or When We Feast? Sheamus and Drew are in a competition in Hot Ones. And seeing that they had this competition where they're doing a little bit of Scotland versus Ireland, Protestant versus Catholic, it was actually funny to see. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check out Hot Ones, and it's on YouTube, and check and see that was an interesting thing. But I would have liked to see Joe Henry deal with a little bit of Sheamus. He didn't really do much. Get his ass thrown out of the ring by, I believe it was Roman, who threw him out of the ring very quickly. Roman looked dominant coming down to the ring. He just has that air of him. But it's like, and I was worried. Part of me wished not to see Roman go to WrestleMania. I'm not going to lie. That's how I felt. Particularly when I saw Jey show up. And I'm like, I really want Jey to win. Because he is. And I'll get to that in a minute. This is where things began to slow down. By the 23, when Cena showed up, that is when it started to slow down. Because they had to wait for Punk to get in, Seth Rollins to get in, Drew to get in. Well, Drew was already there, but they wanted to make sure that Punk, they wanted to make sure Seth, they just wanted the ones they cared about to be in the ring together. And just standing there waiting, that was like 4 to 6 minutes, waiting for everyone to get in there so they can do what they need to really do. And that was to hype up the fans. The match after that was sped up a bit, and it wasn't that bad. But when I saw Seth and Roman eliminated by CM Punk, and then CM Punk getting eliminated by a Logan Paul who came in at 30, and I'm kind of hoping Punk didn't hurt his back because he landed hard on his ass, because he gets thrown over and he went bang, and you can feel that in your lower back when you land straight in your tailbone. It hurts. But seeing that they were eliminated, seeing that Roman got stomped, not once but twice, and then the fight between Seth and Punk went back again, it made me like, okay, we got something here. We got something here. Yes, we were going to get Roman. We're not getting Roman. But when we saw Cena, when we saw... For me personally, I am actually happy to see the true tribal chief. I'm going to say it again. The true tribal chief. And I had a debate with someone on one of my videos when I talked about Jey Uso as a true tribal chief. And he says, no, he's not. The only thing he's got the yeet. Well, guess what, my friend? If you're watching this, the one who is saying that Jey Uso is nothing and the only thing he's got is yeet. How many of the favorite wrestlers of all time had some type of catchphrase or some type of gesture? That is The Rock with his eyebrow. There's always something you use, either your music or a catchphrase or just some type of something. And Jay's over like stink. And seeing that he was the last one with Cena, I know he's not going to win because it looks like they're going to go with Cena. But even though I wanted him to win, because I wanted to see the true tribal chief win. Because he is the true tribal chief. He just is. And I'll explain in a minute. But when you see this situation, when you see that they did go with him, they chose to let Cena not go through here. He can still go through Elimination Chamber, just like Punk, Seth, Drew. Everyone can go through the Elimination Chamber and get the second possible option. And they will air on the second WrestleMania. Because remember, it's a 2-night thing. So one night will be somebody, the second night will be the other person. So they still got Elimination Chamber. So I'm going to see Cena. I'm going to see Seth. I'm going to see Roman. I'm going to see Drew. I'm definitely seeing all those people. Maybe. 2 more maybe. Going into Elimination Chamber. I truly believe that's what we're going to get. And I don't know who's going to win. But we are going to get all the general suspects that we expect are going to go into the Elimination Chamber and get the opportunity to go to WrestleMania. But knowing that the true tribal chief won. Now, I'm sure people say, why do you keep saying that? Simple. 2021 or late 2020, early 2021, Roman told Jey that when he retires, he will be the new tribal chief. He was slated to be the actual true tribal chief. The next in line. Then we had, what? Tribal Combat. But what happened in that Tribal Combat? Did Jey lose clean? No, he did not. He did not lose clean. He lost dirty. And what happened after that? He chose to leave the family. Flat out, he left. And that is why Solo was able to win. Because Jey left. If Jey hadn't left, he could have kept fighting to try and get a better shot at that Ulafala. But he did not. He left. And when WreslteMainia came around and Cody took it, that is when Solo took over. Because it's supposed to be Jey. Jey is the true tribal chief. He should get another Tribal Combat match. And he should win it. And if he wins it, he will be the true tribal chief. Which I truly believe he should be. Because, let's make this very clear. And I'll make it quick because my battery's flashing. At this point, we got a 5-year storyline of the bloodline. It must eventually end and end right. And the only way it's going to truly end is to let the true tribal chief become the next tribal chief. That Roman retires or he goes through Tribal Combat again. And then Jey gets it and he disbands the bloodline. That's the way it should be. And that's what I think. Well, I know they're not going to go there, but if they did, that's what I believe they should. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Who is Jey going to go after? Is he going after Cody? Or is he going to go after Gunther? My guess, he's going after Gunther one more time. Because if Gunther does not drop that title, this will finally be the vindication that Jey Uso will have. Because he's gone up against him now, 3 times already? And now, he's going to get a 4th shot at that title. And if Jey is allowed to, he will get it at WrestleMania. Or at least if he can't get it, at least he will have his WrestleMania moment, even if he loses by a 4th time. Or is it a 3rd time? I think it's a 4th time. No, 3rd time. A 3rd time. But this is just me. This is what I think. But it's still up to you guys to believe if this sounds good or not. It's your choice to believe it or not. He is still the true tribal chief. I'm going to keep saying it until he becomes the true tribal chief. He becomes the chief and he disbands the bloodline. Until then, he got screwed out of that Tribal Combat. And Solo should not have been tribal chief. It should have been Jey. But that's just me. Peace.